All right, I want to call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. This morning we'll have a prayer and then we'll follow that with the pledge to the flag. And I want us this morning to especially remember one of our volunteer firefighters, young man Ethan Neal, just 21 years old, that lost his battle with brain cancer just a day ago. And just want to ask everybody to remember him and his family during this time. Heavenly Father, we do come before you to thank you for this day that you've given us. And Lord, we do thank you for the many blessings of life, most of all that we can have salvation through your Son, Jesus Christ. And Lord, we just ask you to be with us and guide us through this meeting, that the things we say and do are right and pleasing in your sight and things that are beneficial to this community. But Lord, right now we just come before you to lift up the family of Ethan Neal. Lord, that you would just strengthen them and comfort them during this time, that you would give them the peace that only you're able to give. And Lord, we just pray that this community would reach out and wrap their arms around that family. And Lord, we just thank you for the life that Ethan lived in his short time here on this earth, Lord, serving this community. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we got a few people that's going to speak a minute this morning. We're going to start with our guest from Kids on the Block, Amanda Guerra. Did I get that correct? All right, and Sarah Kitchens. They're going to present some information about Kids on the Block here. And this is Amanda handing out information. So if you want to know who's who, and then that, by default, this is Sarah.
Thank you.
If y'all could step to the microphone, because we video and air all this is going out live to the World Wide Web.
Oh, no pressure.
No telling how many millions of people are going to see you. At least 10 or 20.
Millions.
Not millions, 10 or 20.
All right, well, good morning. Thanks for having us. I'm Sarah Kitchens. I'm the Administrative and Grants Assistant at Kids on the Block. For those of y'all who don't know what we do, we are an educational puppet troupe. Our mission is to provide ongoing education and prevention to children in the community at large. And the core message in each of our programs is to teach children acceptance of differences in themselves and others. Last year, we impacted a little over 36,000 children by presenting 309 programs in 35 Kentucky counties.
Yeah, and so we brought one of our kids with us today. This is Stephen. He's in our child abuse prevention program. And he helps us educate children on the different types of abuse and how to get out of abusive situations. We do have 15 different program topics that we present on. The child abuse prevention program is probably one of the ones that we do the most, but closely following behind that, we've got our mental health program, bullies program. We have a newer vaping program on vaping, because that's become that's happening a lot, and we've had the question, well, is that really happening in elementary schools? Yeah, it is. I've had more and more elementary school teachers reach out about that program. They found kids vaping under the slide on the playground, on the buses, so that's become really popular with younger children even.
Grade school.
Yeah, Yeah, actually one of the schools in Bowling Green, we were going there to do a different program, and like the day before we were going there, she called, and the counselor did, she said, can I actually change our program topic to the vaping tobacco prevention program? We really need that right now. They had caught some children with vapes at the school, so. And then we have a brand new substance use prevention program that we are starting to do this year. We've always had one, but we've updated it and it's brand new. So we are going to be getting that out, I think our first program for that one in the schools is this month, so we're excited to be able to start doing that one. But we, last school year, we presented 14 programs here in Simpson County. We do travel all over the state when we have funding to do so and present programs. And we do have a free kids run that we have here that helps us raise some money for programs. This year, we were able to raise enough money to be able to present several programs. I believe it was 7 programs in Simpson County. But we are needing some funding to cover 4 more programs. So that covered 2 programs at Franklin Elementary, 3 programs for Simpson Elementary, and then Lincoln Elementary, they usually like to have about 6 programs, and so we are needing funding to cover 4 more programs. So we are seeking that funding. If you all know anyone who want to fund programs, or if you all have any funding, then we are looking for a little extra funding to be able to do the amount of programs that the schools typically like in this area. So, do you all have any questions? I brought Stephen. This is Stephen, and he's in our child abuse program, just to give you an idea if you haven't seen one of our puppets. This is the size that we use. We wear all black. We stand behind a black screen so that the kids focus more on the puppets and not on us so much to present our programs.
So what is the cost, like, per program?
Yeah, it's $515 per program.
$515?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that covers all the travel expenses, puppeteer training, and the expenses of going into the schools and presenting the programs.
What are your typical funding sources? Like, who normally?
Yeah, so we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So we don't get any state funding currently. All of our funding comes from grants, donations, and then fundraisers that we do. And we try to keep our programs free to schools. A lot of schools don't have funding for extra programs because, especially in areas where there's a lot of children that are in need of food and supplies and clothing, a lot of times their budgets go toward helping kids get those resources that they need, so they may not be able to get programs like Kids on the Block or other programs that come into their school unless it is free. So we try to keep them free to the schools. And
So it is a charitable, tax
Yes.
deductible donation. I mean, so I was kind of kidding about millions of people watching, but there will be several people that will see this because we do it live and then it just stays on social media
Sure.
to view. So if people are watching and they're thinking, hey, I would be glad to make $100 or $200
Sure.
or $515
yeah,
donation.
absolutely.
Who would they contact?
So they can call our office, 270-842-2259. And on our website, if you didn't get that, you can go to our website. You can just look for Kentucky Kids on the Block, and then that will bring you to our website on how to get in contact. And you can specify that you want your money spent in Simpson County or Logan County or whatever county that you're in. And so, once we get enough money for an extra program, then we'll get those scheduled. So.
And I'll stop with the funding questions in a second, but
Sure.
do any local governments in the area fund any, and do any of the school systems put in any money?
Sure. So let's see. Allen County has funded some programs. Warren County, Butler County, and is there one more? Logan County. Yeah, those fiscal courts have funded some programs. And Warren County schools and Bowling Green City schools do some funding. And I'm thinking wanted to thank the Simpson County Baseball Club. Is there a baseball club, I think, here? I don't know if that comes from just fundraising that they do, but they do give some when we have our kids run.
Okay.
And the kids run, all the money we raise in the kids run goes towards programs for the area here. So, any other questions? We'd be happy to answer any. No? All right.
I guess not. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
It's a great program. I had no idea that grade, like elementary, are you talking first, second, third grade kids?
So the tobacco vaping program, we started at second grade. Now I do have a school, I can't remember where they're located, but Red Ribbon Week, they requested the tobacco vaping prevention for kindergarten and first grade. I was like, well, now, we typically do that program second grade and older. There's nothing inappropriate in it, so if you want it for them, it's fine. She's like, no, we need to start early with this, because we've got some kids that are vaping pretty early.
Wow.
So,
Well, people don't, folks don't, kids don't smoke anymore, cigarettes.
right.
They vape.
It's vaping, that's what they're doing.
So instead of smoking,
And they're starting at kindergarten and first grade.
well, they see it at home.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have older siblings or parents that are vaping, and it's so easy for, and they can do it, and you don't smell the smoke on them like you would with a cigarette, So it's easy to hide, and there are certain vapes that look like a flash drive, or, like some kind of thing that they would need for school, and so parents don't recognize, oh, this is actually a vape, and I need to take this because it looks like the flash drive that they're taking, that they have their files on for school. So
Wow.
they're easy to hide and conceal.
Well, Amanda, Sarah, thank y'all for being here. We appreciate what y'all do. We'll have some discussion about possibly doing some funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for
All
your
right.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We also have here today our Simpson County Tourism Director, Amy Ellis. She said she would be glad to give us a little update. Amy, you just done a very successful car show on the square. Thank you very much for all that.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody while I've got the chance here in public to thank the city and county employees that showed up with me at 4:30 in the morning to close the streets and then to come back and stay late, reopen the streets, and that takes a little army of people to pull off a car show of the size. This was our 61st annual car show, and there's a lot of volunteers involved. I want to thank all the volunteers. Thank you guys for letting us do that as well, because without you guys saying it's okay, we can't hold an event like that. We had 170 cars that registered. We had some that came in after registration. As you guys probably know, it rained a little bit that morning, delayed things a little bit, so we cut off registration officially at 11. We stayed out there until about 11:45, and cars were still rolling in, but we had to get going, so we just let them just roll in. We have 31 vendors, and those vendors were not all Simpson County. They were from other surrounding counties that came in. We had 7 food trucks that came, but I did talk to downtown merchants along the way, and they said they all had a good day despite the argument of no place to park. People do park and walk and still come into our shops and shop, and I'm glad, and come into our restaurants. And so it was a good day for everybody. Some of the merchants told me it was one of the best days they'd had in a while, so I'm glad. I'm glad to see the visitors. I have no way of counting how many people were there, but if you came down that day, it was a good day. It was a pretty day after it stopped raining. I especially wanted to thank Deputy Jailer Dennis Link. Dennis came early, brought the inmates. Without that labor, I couldn't physically do what we did. And then they left and they came back and helped us clean up. They cleaned up all the trash, and we appreciate that very much. So I wanted to thank you guys for letting us do that. Mason came and helped me that morning. He was there early, and had call in the troops of the family, which and the cheerleaders had a pancake breakfast that morning, so they made some money, so it was a good day. While I'm up here, I would like to give an update on our building. We are moving right along. We have drywall up. We are painting this week. Hopefully we'll have the sidewalk open by the end of the month if everything passes inspection with the city engineer and the building inspector. We had an issue on the front of the building with the old brick on top of the facade. So when we pulled the old roof off, we ran into some issues. We are getting that fixed and think we have a good solution for that. So hopefully that will be fixed, and we will have that sidewalk open to the public by the end of October. That is the plan. Of course, it is an over 100-year-old building, so that facade had more issues than we anticipated, but that's just part of dealing with a historic building. But hopefully we'll be in there maybe by January. I hate to even put a date out there, but that's what we're looking at.
How about the horses, horsepower, and caves?
And,
Is there anything you can share about that?
Okay, yeah, you were close. Horses, horsepower, and haulers, yeah. We have several
Horses,
different...
horsepower,
And
all-
haulers.
Haulers.
And the reason it's haulers is, we of course have the horses here in Simpson County, which involves Kentucky Downs. The horsepower is cars, which we have part of the car, the car element of that group, and Bowling Green. That is a 6 county-wide initiative. It's Simpson County, it's Warren County, and these are the tourism offices in these counties. Shelby, Georgetown, because they're the northern part, and it makes a triangle, and then the eastern part is Corbin and Harlan. So there's your haulers. We don't have any haulers here. If you count Pilot Knob, that's about all we got. So the 6, that's all we got.
We do have a hauler.
That might be the highest point we got. But the 6 counties involved in that, it's a trail. It's a itinerary for travelers to come, and there are 21 spots on that trail. If they go to 12 of them, you can check in. It's an app on your phone. Then we send them a little gift for doing that. But what it is, there's a 4-day and a 5-day and a 7-day itinerary on there, and it tells somebody that's coming through this area, if you want to go see, if these are the things you like, these are the places to go, and this is what's offered in those places. And that is the idea behind that. It is one of the ARPA projects that we were granted through the state. It was a $250,000 grant to do this. It had to be completed by the end of this year. A lot of these initiatives there's a whole lot of different trails right now, if you guys I'm sure you're aware of that. But this is one that we are going to continue. The 6 counties involved in this initiative are going to keep this one. There's others. There's one that actually launches today, and it is the Wild West of Kentucky Bourbon. Our Dueling Grounds Distillery is a part of that. So we have 6, you had to have 6 different CVBs or tourism offices involved in these initiatives to be able to apply for the money for those grants. So we are a part of that. It involves the smaller distilleries in the western part of the state. If I try to list them, I'm going to mess it up, so I'm not. But it's Hopkinsville, Paducah, Owensboro, and some others. But ours is Dueling Grounds Distillery, and essentially it is a campaign to bring attention to those distilleries in the western part of the state. And it launches today. You can see that on our website and on social media. It'll be out there. There was some footage shot. And I know I've talked to you guys about this ARPA money several times. I think the greatest thing that we have gained from being involved in these different groups and a lot of the smaller CVBs like our CVB is the ability to use that money to have people come in and shoot video, shoot pictures, and give us assets that will be long-standing. These are things I can pull from for print ads and all the other advertising that we do, which is what the tourism office does. We market Simpson County. That is the reason we have a tourism office. Traditionally, in my position in this town, everybody has always seen locally what I was doing because I worked at the newspaper, and you picked it up every week and you saw what I was doing. This job is totally different. The tourism office is not here to show Simpson County what we have here. The tourism office is here to show everybody that lives everywhere else what we have here. We already live here. We're already here. We want people to come through and fill up their gas tank and eat a meal and maybe shop a little downtown or visit one of the attractions. That is what the tourism office is. That's the purpose of us. So we are a marketing office. The events are not necessarily a part of our thing, but I feel strongly that the car show is a good event and that it does attract visitors into our town. And the old theory of tourism offices was to put heads in beds, okay? Have people spend the night. That's great if they come and spend the night. That's great. And of course we want that, but that isn't all that we're here to do. We're also here to show everyone just what a wonderful little town we have. So that's one of the, but you guys be sure and check out that Wild West of Kentucky Bourbon Trail that started today.
We can't fight a duel. We can't fight a duel and hold office. You know that. So we can't do the Wild West thing.
No, you can't do the dueling part.
All right.
You can't fight a duel before you hold office. I don't know that.
With that being
No, you
said,
can't actually,
and Sanford Duncan Inn is going to close at the end
not
of the month.
before. You have to swear an oath you haven't.
Amy,
Yes.
I know that a couple of times in some of the meetings I've been in, the mayor has mentioned that they were talking about maybe the police station, where it was at, making that a parking lot. You was talking about
Yeah.
parking. Do you know if that's?
I don't know. I don't know what
That's
they
just
have
what,
decided.
some talk has been
Yeah.
on that. I didn't know if you'd heard about that. And then,
I'm not sure.
of course, I'm on the board with you. I know about them, but
maybe you explain the kiosk that you were talking about.
Oh,
getting.
yeah, okay. Yes, we have, with some of the ARPA money that our local office received, we have purchased kiosks, and they will be, they're about 7 foot tall, they're about this thin, they're like a big giant TV flipped on the side. And it'll be an interactive way for people that are visiting to find the things that are here. It's a touchscreen kiosk where it'll show you places to go eat, where you can stay, things you can go do. They will be operating by the end of November. We've bought 9. So they will be in some of our attractions and in some of our hotels. We will have the best thing out of that, I think, is the one that we have, that'll be an outdoor one that will be at our new office, so that when the office is closed and somebody is downtown, if it's a Sunday afternoon, somebody can walk up to that and use that and find, like if they're looking for a place to eat. Everybody has a cell phone, but this is more geared toward just what's here in Simpson County. So they're very user-friendly. Several counties have purchased these, and that's what we did with some of the funds. Thank you.
Amy, thank you for what you do.
Thanks, Mason.
You help our
appreciate it.
community a tremendous amount. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amanda, Sarah, y'all don't feel obligated to stay. I mean, you're welcome to stay because it's a lot of great entertainment, but if you feel that you need to go take care of some things.
For the millions and millions of people watching.
Thank y'all. Thanks, Amy. All right, gentlemen, moving on into the business part here. The minutes of our September 17th regular fiscal court meeting on the portal. I need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty.
Second.
Second by Jeffrey. Any question, discussion, correction? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is to review or approve the second reading and final passage of zone change ordinance number 920.125. This is the zone change from Ag to I-2 at Witt and Cal Harris Road. We had first reading at our previous meeting.
So P&Z will review these plans again, is that correct?
Well, what happens, Myron,
As far as the development
all we were
plan
able to do is just finalize the
I
zone
understand.
change.
I just want to make certain.
When something actually happens on this property, it'll have to come back to planning and zoning for design and plan review.
It'd be the same as the zone we did on, was it Morgantown Road for Warren Road Electric was gonna move there. They
Yeah.
rezoned that spot, so it's rezoned now, but before anything can be built on it, it has to be brought before planning and zoning
Yeah.
and done.
So move.
All right, so we got a motion on the zone change. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second by Marty. Pam will do a roll call.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burr,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Next is the first reading of ordinance number 310.29. This is for a new subdivision on North 31 called Botanical Garden. It's another Warren Rural Electric lighting agreement. If y'all recall, I think we've done a couple of these, and we may have to do more because where a lot of the subdivisions, well, this one in particular is in the city limits, but it's powered by Warren Rural Electric Power, where others have been in the city limits but powered by the Franklin Electric Plant Board. But these lighting agreements basically we give the authorization to the co-op to be able to apply a fee to the customer's bill who lives in the neighborhood to provide lighting. Is that pretty much the summary of it?
Basically to cover the cost of putting street lighting there, and once they're paid off, then it falls off the bill, yes.
So you need a motion.
We need a motion and a second to approve this ordinance for the lighting agreement with Warren Rural Electric.
So move.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. Any other question or discussion? Pam?
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burr,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Next, you see on the portal, employee resolution number 2024-10-01, EMPPW, recommendation by our Public Works Supervisor. I would need a motion and a second to authorize that employee resolution.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Sheriff, I need you for this next discussion, please, sir. It is a request, the sheriff's going to make a request for additional funds for prisoner transport. Well, this is where we are court ordered to transport inmates, I guess, back and forth, and you don't really get an option or a choice. Like when the court orders it, you don't get to say, I don't think I want to make this.
Correct.
But we do get a percentage of reimbursement, but we have to pay the money up front.
Correct. I call it line in, line out. That doesn't mean that's a real term. That's just what I refer it to. We get the money back, what it costs to go get. If there's an inmate down in Texas, and right now we've got an order to go pick one up, it's going to be about $4,000 to go pick them up. Once we pay, we get them back, everything's good. There's a flow of paperwork that comes through me, it comes to the county judge, goes to the county clerk, comes back, and the state sends us a check. Well, that check is turned around and given to fiscal court as so it's line in, line out. The reason I'm asking for additional funds, we're not getting anything new. We've already gone through, and last year we did this. Honestly, it's just gotten more expensive to go get prisoners. So we had, it was either $8,000 or $10,000 allocated for this year, and we've already gone through that. I'm asking for $12,000 because we're just barely through the year, and they're wanting the people brought back. It's up to the Commonwealth Attorney. Depends on how far you are, whether he wants to bring you back for prosecution if you get picked up or not. So we really have no say in it other than we're ordered to do it and have to go do it. The money comes back to you. Instead of having to come to you 2 or 3 times during the year, because like I said, I know we've got one trip that I have to do next week, it's $4,000. That would leave 8. I'm hoping 8 would get us through the rest of the year and not have to come back and do this a second, third, or fourth time.
So is it taking them a long time to get the money back?
Well,
I mean, if you go next week and
No.
that's $4,000.
Well, it takes a little while, but here's what happens, Marty. It doesn't come back into our line item.
Oh, okay.
The way the budget's set up, and I'm fine if y'all and Nicole can ever figure a way that it just automatically comes back to us, I'm fine with that, but that's not the way the budget's set up. I project $10,000 for this, and as we spend it, it's gone out of my budget.
But it comes back into the general fund.
But it's coming back to the general fund. Now, next year, if things look like, you'll see where I project instead of 8 to 10,000, I may project 15 or 20,000. But on the revenue side, I will also project 20,000 because they offset each other.
But I do know this, and I think the clerk can attest to this. It seems like we sign a bunch of those now. Yeah, you got some right there. Yeah. So, and of course, Nicole is down, next week's spring break, and this is payroll week. Fall break. Fall break. I'll get it right. I'll figure out what month we're in. Fall break, and this is payroll week, so she's trying to do a lot of things. But she did send me a note that this transfer can be made under our current budget transfers that we'll do later, and it would be from account 01-9200-999, the transfer reserve, into 01-5015-577 prisoner transport. And so, but the amount we need to authorize is $12,000.
Yes.
And if I might, this is one of those costs of doing business. It goes both ways. We hold prisoners for other states. They have to do the same thing and pay to come get folks. And it's just one of those things. We are a mobile society. It'd be nice if everybody who gets crossways with the law stays in the jurisdiction.
I didn't know if you meant by mobile, like if you get in trouble, you're on the run.
That too. But most folks don't stay static is what I'm getting at. So this is just one of the costs of doing business.
The only reason I asked you a question is just so people watching can understand that, when you said the money comes back, but then you said it wasn't in your budget, so that's the reason I asked. Or the money, but
When the check comes in, we don't get to put it back in our line item and use again. It goes to y'all's fund, and when I say y'all, the county.
General fund.
But we no longer have any fund, it's the general fund, so I have to ask for more money to be put in our line item.
And the sheriff is the jail's not responsible for transporting inmates like this. It's the sheriff's responsibility.
Correct. There's two different types. If you're in-house, Eric would have to explain that. They do some transports. Ours, if you're not an inmate with Eric, he doesn't have to transport you. If you're arrested down in Texas,
Right.
and the court wants you, we're the bailiffs of the court, and we have to go.
So, Sam, I'm going to ask a legal question here, just for how we do this cleanly. Do we need to make a motion in a second to approve the sheriff's request, or do we just add this into our budget transfers at the $12,000 he's requested?
I think we just do the motion to, as the sheriff has requested, grant his request, and get his
Do both?
Do both.
Okay, all right.
Good.
That's
Any other
good. So
questions?
we just need a motion in a second to authorize the sheriff's request for this additional $12,000 into prisoner transport.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any other question or discussion?
So it's an additional 12,000, not raising it to 12,000.
An additional 12,000, yes. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, did y'all get a sheet like this?
Yes.
Okay, so that was a little bit of my oversight, because I didn't think about including Jackie Hunt with Drug Task Force, because they're kind of their own entity, but all of their funding, everything does flow through our fiscal court now. So when I sent out the request to department heads about surplus items, I had failed to send it to Jackie, and he reached out after seeing the agenda and said, hey, I've got some vehicles I need to put on here too. So we've got actually two lists, and what we need to do is authorize the surplus sale of these county vehicles and add these, I believe it's 3, 6, 9 drug task force vehicles to that list. But you see the list, there's 9 items on the county list, 3 from Public Works, 1 from Planning and Zoning, 1 from Fire and Rescue, and actually 4 from the jail, and then the 9 vehicles from the Drug Task Force.
So when we sell these, this money goes back in, like the sheriff's vehicles go to the sheriff's,
Yes.
drug task force vehicles, the jail goes to the jail,
Yes, the
Okay.
sale of these vehicles, like the money that comes from the sale, like the Drug Task Force vehicles, that money will go back to Drug Task Force. The money from the sale of the Public Works vehicles will go to Public Works, and so on and so forth with the items. They'll go back to the entities that the surplus item is coming from. And like before, we used the meals auction because they didn't charge us a penny. It's all based on buyer's premium, so there's no charge to it. I can't tell you yet a date that they have established to do the next sale, but we have to authorize this list of vehicles to be put to surplus sale.
So you need a motion to authorize.
I do
these
need a motion to
vehicles.
authorize this list of 8, well, it's not all vehicles, I'm going to say 18 items, including vehicles and mechanical apparatus.
Do we need to put in the motion at Mills, is at their next auction date?
At Mills' next available.
Sam, do we have to advertise the date and all when we get ready to do this?
We will have to advertise the sale. Once they give us a date, we'll have to advertise the sale.
Is it like, do we need to do, is there a certain time frame that you have to do it? Do you need so much time to have for advertising, like on
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know that either, but I would assume maybe 7 days, like an ordinance, that
Okay.
we'd want to advertise.
I
And I'll make sure, and Mills does these frequently.
Right.
So like if he's doing one that we don't have enough time frame to advertise, we can tell him to hold our stuff to the next.
That's the reason I was asking, so.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion to surplus these 18 items through the Mills Auction Service at a date to be announced, depending on the time,
Advertising time frame?
yeah, on the advertising time frame.
And also, Marty, if you don't mind, make a part of that to authorize the county judge to
Yes.
sign any documents with the auction house that needs to be
Yes.
signed. Okay. Second. Got a second by Jeffrey. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Next, gentlemen, you see on the portal, we got a quote for some upgraded and updated security cameras. I think the total count of this is like 25 cameras here at the historic courthouse. Bob, if you want to make your way up in case there's a question or talk about it. If y'all recall, back a couple of years ago, Homeland Security done a threat assessment for the courthouse, and one of the things that we were lacking was security cameras to catch everything. What's being proposed here would catch every angle of the courthouse that we need inside and everything outside, I believe, which we currently don't have. Now, I'm sure he may talk about this when we get down to his reports, but if y'all may notice, we're getting lighting put back on the courthouse. And so there are places right now, if someone were to do something at the courthouse, there's places we can't see. We couldn't tell who done it or what, exactly transpired to cause the damage. This security cameras would alleviate all of those blind spots, correct?
The system we have right now, inside and out, totals 11 cameras, and there's blind spots all over the place, inside and out. This increased to 24 or 25 cameras.
I think it's 25.
I think it's 25. Fixes the interior places that we can't see, but the big part of it is we actually would go to the outer perimeter, out to the street, and start looking back towards the courthouse, and we would be able to see. These are cameras. We had another quote a couple of years ago that was substantially higher than this because it had a whole bunch more cameras. These cameras are we spent quite a bit of time talking to the vendor that gave us the quote about what the cameras can do. Some of them have the capability of you set them up when somebody walks past the camera, it picks up on them and it'll follow them. Or you can zoom them, you can spin them, look from the courthouse. There's a lot of things it'll do for us. I'm coming at the cameras in the aspect of, in that report that the judge referenced, that safe report, there's like 12 pages of things that are recommendations, and a number of those recommendations tie back to the camera system to be able to increase the safety and the security, not only for the people that work in this building every day, but the events that we have, but the car show, the Friday night concerts, all that stuff. This would give us the capability to truly, since the Emergency Operations Center is here, we could put somebody in there monitoring cameras for just about every event that we've got on the square to help us, And there's been a number of times that I've had law enforcement come and ask me, hey, something happened with a certain part. It's amazing to me how the community knows where to go because they know the cameras aren't working there. So high school kids know that there's a certain part of the square that they can go do things and not be caught on the camera. So my part of this is that the recommendation of purchasing these cameras increases our security capabilities, but it also it ties into the report so that we can do some other things that the report says that we are.
And these cameras won't work with the cameras we already have.
No, there's I don't know what it's called. Adam can tell you straight up. There's the cameras that we have right now. As a matter of fact, the cameras that we have right now are sending packets of information to foreign governments. And you can't buy the camera system that we have right now because Homeland Security won't allow it.
So could we, if we buy these, can we sell those? I mean, is there any value to them?
I would say you probably, I don't know who would buy them.
Okay.
These are analog cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have repurposed what was in here, but it would have honestly been a waste because these are like, what we got on this quote is like 150 times better. These are like 1 megapixel cameras and they're analog. It'd be like you trying to sell your big CRT TV to somebody. Somebody may want it, but.
I just didn't know. I was just asking, are there any value to them?
Probably not. They've been here a long, long time. You know how technology is.
And something else, it could be useful. I know we have, in the past, we got a lawsuit for somebody falling out on the courthouse lawn, and so this could, if somebody claims that the county's negligent somehow or another, we could use these to prove either we were or weren't.
Well,
something like that.
Right, and this guy showed us a demonstration of like I guess the app where you pull the camera up like remotely, where he had actually on his building, and there was an accident that happened in the road like several hundred feet away from his building. And when you know how like when you zoom in on a security camera footage, it all just gets really grainy and kind of blurred out. When he zoomed in on it, it was as crystal clear as the original shot, and it clearly showed that the accident did not happen the way the person claimed that it happened.
That's right.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
It could be used for that too.
So the point being, like things that would happen, say out in the street even, we'll have the ability to zoom up to that and it be as clear as the original picture.
Could we use them cameras somewhere else on other county property if we need to?
The cameras we currently have,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to tie them into any kind of an internet source like we've got, like they are now. We could probably make them stand alone someplace.
I'll say, we potentially may haul one at the maintenance barn. That could be a possibility, but it wouldn't be on the internet.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Which means he would have to, but he's got a small enough office that he can look at them in. So there is a possibility for that.
Yeah, we're really trying to get away from the influence of foreign governments having access.
So are these not tied to the internet?
The ones we have now are, yeah.
No, the ones we're talking about.
No, the ones that we're talking about would be.
They would be tied to the internet.
Yeah.
But are they encrypted different?
Yeah, they are the capability, Homeland Security approves them.
Okay.
I'll just say it that way.
I mean, there was not a study, but a college somewhere that did a program or research and said that there was a foreign country that was actually tapped into those cameras. Yeah. So those cameras have already been tapped into by a foreign country. I mean, that country has to be really bored to want to see the courthouse.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was referencing. There's packets that are going to a foreign country out of our system.
So these new ones, China won't be able to see anything on this, or years down the road they will be able to?
It's
on the internet, so.
Yeah, they won't be able to get the data about the information behind it. They may be able to see the audios or the visuals.
There's about 3 or 4 different vendors that are not what they call NDA, which is National Defense Authorization Act. Because it's Hawaii, I don't know, some Chinese name. They're manufactured in China. So they have inherent stuff that allows them to, they basically embed stuff in there, and that's what they make them. These Uniview, which is honestly what the jail has too, are made in, they're made in the U.S., they're a U.S.-based company, and they're not NDA, they're NDA compliant, which means that they're compliant. Like a lot of grants, like especially a lot of the grants that Jackie applies for, if he has anything that's not NDA compliant, he loses, even though he may not be applying for security stuff, he cannot apply for that grant because he has products that don't fit into that thing. So they basically say, we're not giving you any money. And there is some grants out there that basically say, because you have this bad thing, we're not gonna give you any grant money. There's not as many for us, but there may be some for law enforcement or other things that us not having something could potentially make them ineligible or make them at least not at the top of the list.
And so, just for the public's knowledge too, and I know the jailer's up here because you mentioned that they have this very equipment at the jail, so I guess you want to speak to that. But while he's coming up here, for the public's knowledge, the quote here is for the 25 cameras, all the devices you need to operate it, installation and everything, it's $16,210. And it's well below the threshold of what has to be bid now, so. And I think this may be what Eric's going to address. We already have some familiarity with this equipment.
If y'all want, well, first off, they're talking about the exact same cameras that we have. Our cameras are so precise, and you're talking about the pixelations and stuff. We don't have that anymore since we upgraded. I was telling the sheriff a while ago, when they pull off, I can read their license plate numbers. They're so crisp, so clean. Ours have the infrared. I'm sure that's what, I know that's exactly the daggone camera they're talking about. It's one of the top of the line cameras, and if you want to come down to the jail and see for yourself, you're more than welcome. The capabilities of what it can do. I know Kentucky, Tennessee Grain, Franklin Grain, they've had issues that they have called us and said, hey, can you help us solve this problem? And it's like, tell me what time or a time frame, and we can zero down to whatever it is. I have 5 of my command staff that they can watch the jail 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on their phones. If there's an issue and we're off, or out of the building on a weekend or something's going on, we can click in and be like, hey, y'all need to fix this. It's going to be the same way around this courthouse. You're not going to miss a thing if they're positioned right, and I know they will be because of I don't know if you're using the same vendor or you're using the same vendor. They're going to, Judge, if you say, I want to see this over here, you're going to see that over here.
Yeah, he walked us through a demonstration of what all you can pull up.
He's very sharp, and I can honestly say he gives really good service. If you have an issue, he'll be like, all right, I'll be back in 2 days or 3 days, and they come back and it's fixed. And this is none of my business. I mean, it's a court decision. I'm just letting the court know that if you want to see, we've already got part of this in play in our county, and we've got cameras all the way around the jail. The sheriff, if he needs anything, all he's got to do is ask, and we can zero whatever he wants, and who came in, who left. I mean, it's a pretty high-tech system. And we did price checks. I know you're talking about funding. We did price checks before we ever went with this company, and he is well below what other companies are charging. But he is an individual company. I mean, he's independent company. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and for what it's worth, I'm vouching for these cameras because of what I've got. And like I said, any of y'all at any time want to come see them, you're more than welcome. If you want to see the capabilities, you're more than welcome. Just let me know, or just show up. You don't even have to announce.
I'd like to reiterate that this upgrade to the camera system would open the doors to allowing us to do some other things that's some other opportunities to increase our safety and security that was put into the report.
So, gentlemen, obviously my recommendation is that we do this security system, but it would require a motion and a second. And part of that motion and second would probably be that you would have to authorize the county judge to sign any agreements with Simply Secured. I was trying to find the name of the business here.
So moved, Mason.
All right, so we got a motion by mine. second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? I can tell you this, we have had a few people use the walls of the courthouse as their local bathroom. So hopefully these camera systems will kind of hold down on that a little bit.
One got removed last
They
week.
did. They certainly did. All right. No other questions or discussion. All we need is all in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And now, the bid for the Roby Bethel Grove Road Drainage Structure Project. Wasn't a very difficult decision. We only received one bid from Scott Murphy, or Scott Murphy and Daniel. We only received the one bid, but it was $85,166.35, and I think it was within the expectation of the project. But we do need a motion and a second to accept that bid and authorize the judge to sign any necessary documents.
So moved.
Got a motion by Jeffrey,
Second.
second by Marty. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. And Bobby, I think they're still on target probably to start on Neely Road tomorrow, correct? Today, oh, they're starting today.
Supposed to have the excavator there today to start taking it out.
How long do they think it'll take them to get that finished?
They never really said, but I think a
Couple
month,
weeks.
less than a month, I would think, a few weeks. 2
Okay.
weeks.
Yep.
Good.
All right, next, and I need to pull this back up so I can add it, but our budget transfers, we need a motion and a second to approve the budget transfers as presented, but also to add the $12,000 that will go from account 01-9200-999 transfer reserve into account 01-5015-577 prisoner transport.
So moved.
So we got a motion by
Marty?
Marty
Yes.
and a second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is bills and claims. If you had an opportunity to review those, we just need a motion and a second to approve the bills and claims as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to reports, like Amy said, the car show went well. I want to thank her and all of her group and everyone that had a part in making that a good day for Simpson County. We did look back, we did change by ordinance our joint meeting dates, and it's the third Tuesday in October at noon here at the courthouse. So I was telling Sam prior to the meeting, I'll just email the city manager and see if there's anything that we need to have discussion. I mean, if there's things we need to discuss, yes, we've got the meeting scheduled. If there's nothing to be discussed, there's no reason to meet just for the sake of meeting unless we actually have pertinent business to tend to. So we'll find out about that.
If we do have a meeting to have something on there, I'd like to put the fire department back on there, discussion of going to 4 full-time,
Okay?
from 2 to 4.
Okay. One other thing real quick, and I'll be as quick and painless as this as I can. I just want to share some of this, and if any of y'all want a copy of my notes here, I'll be glad to give them to you too. But last week, Brad put together a webinar where we had Dr. Laura Ulrich, who is an economist with the Federal Reserve Bank out of Richmond, Virginia, just giving an update and outlook for what the Fed thinks the last quarter of this year will look like and what going into 2025 will look like. And honestly, it was one of the most interesting webinars that I have sat and listened to. And Dr. Ulrich was one of these individuals that didn't have to tell you how smart she was. You could tell by listening to her talk that she was very in tune and very intelligent. But some of the things that I learned, there were things I learned like about the Fed tracking housing and housing starts. I had no idea the Federal Reserve tracked house starts, house prices. I had no idea they tracked all this. So kind of an overview of what she shared. was that the Fed doesn't currently see a real concern for a recession, like an immediate recession. On the other hand, inflation is still above the 2% target that the Federal Reserve likes to hold, inflation at a 2% level. It's unfortunately well above that. She said at the moment the Fed is unsure if there will be another interest rate cut at the next Fed meeting. There's several factors that play into that. She wouldn't speculate on that. But she did say that it was not out of the realm of possibility that there would be a recession sometime in the next 4 years. In regards to inflation, the Fed's take is that consumer spending is still pretty solid, but it now takes $121 to do what $100 done in 2020. So and these are stats she's given that come out of the Fed. Then here's the part she started in on housing. Then this is nationwide, but she honed in on the southeast part of the United States. But housing starts and permits are in the estimation of the Federal Reserve are too low and currently in decline. And when the Fed reached out to talk with home builders and developers on what the problem was, the primary reason given was local government issues were the biggest reason for decline amongst most builders. That the burden placed on developer and builders by local government bureaucracy, so to speak, was the main reason that you're seeing those declines. In Kentucky in 2013, a house that would have been $100,000 in 2013 now is about $220,000 and is predicted to be about $260,000 by the end of 2025. This was one that we tried to get her to elaborate on this a little bit, but she didn't a lot. But green energy initiatives have been the biggest growing sector of manufacturing. But the primary reason for that is because the green energy initiatives have gotten the federal funding. And so, the federal government is shifting money into, she did say, this, I want y'all to understand, this is my take, not Dr. Ulrich's. But the federal government has shifted money into a market that they're wanting to get out into the public, that the public is pushing back on. But those markets still continue to grow because there's federal funding for it. If there were federal funding for house starts and building a park in a subdivision, there may be more people doing that, but the federal funding is going to the green initiatives.
In other words, it's election year.
Yeah, but here was the two biggies and the two things that I think are more concerning, or at least one's more concerning, that the Fed's anticipation of labor force participation is expected to continue to decline. So that's going to be a big driver. But she does think that ultimately, whether we go through a recession in the next 4 years, and she did not put a time frame on this, but that ultimately interest rates will lower, but she does not, the Fed outlook is they will never go below 3.5%. If y'all recall, we had down into the 0.1% interest rates on mortgages not too many years ago. The Federal Reserve does not think that's ever going to happen. But it's an interesting webinar. I think, Myron, you hit the nail on the head. The biggest outlook is it's election year.
Not for us.
Thankfully not for us. Yeah.
5 weeks from today.
Yeah. All right. That's all I've got. Myron, you have anything?
I'll make an announcement a little later on in the year.
A little later on?
A little later.
In this meeting or later on?
No, later on.
At a subsequent meeting?
At another meeting, yeah.
Is it about what I mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
The last meeting, we brought up signage on Broadway. Well, I talked with the industries, and they're willing to put signs up. So we're going to try that first before we do anything.
And I think you determined we did not have to do this by ordinance.
That's right. So I was told. So
Oh, you're
that's
talking
all
about the no truck signs
No
on
truck
Broadway?
signs on Broadway.
Yes. we'll see how that works. That's all I got.
Jeffrey?
No report.
Marty?
Yeah, yesterday I talked to Sean McPherson, and we hear a lot of complaints about the people having to go and wait in line at the driver's license plate. There is a opportunity, or there is a program where this county can have what they call a hotspot, where people, you can't get a license or take a test, but you can renew a license, which I think would help a lot of people. We're getting the details on it. It had to be in a public office, so we're looking at, hopefully we can find somewhere in this county that we can have this available to the people, especially a lot of the older people that don't want to deal with getting online or taking a picture and sending it in, or so it could be and I am getting wanting to be one of them older people.
I was going to say, how are we defining old people? How are we defining that?
Anybody my age or older.
Okay.
But it would be, hopefully, we can work and provide the service for the community so that, I mean, you talk to people that have to go up there, they take a day off of work, or half a day off of work, or whatever, but if they're just getting a renewal and they don't want to fool to get in online, hopefully we can provide this in the community. We're working on it, and as soon as we get some more information, I'll let people know, but it is available, and the state is willing to work to help get that done, so just want to let everybody know that.
All right, Counselor?
Tax sale was last month. It's gonna
Tax
cost-
bills next month.
I was saying, tax, that just in time for first day of tax bills, not only due, but they're now owing at the sheriff. Please pay them this month and get your 2% discount.
Sheriff, I see you up. Does that mean you're making your way down?
Oh, lengthy presentation. Got 45.
I hope that 45 ends with the word seconds.
You kind of hit it on in your presentation. I was going to talk about taxes for just a minute. This will help our office a little bit. You're right, houses have doubled. So, to the community, tax bills were mailed out yesterday. Property taxes, there is a string of laws that we have to follow. It's not just we can do it any way we want to. We could start collecting October 1st. That's why your tax bills don't come out till September, because you'll get it and you'll come in there before October 1st and we have to send you home. So they're in the mail. You can also go online, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and you can look it up. Your property tax, there's a couple of ways that it's figured. There's a rate per 100. I'm going to talk about that. And then secondly, it's the value of your home. Judge Barnes just hit on some training he had the other day. Prices of houses have doubled. The PVA, Property Valuation Administration, is the one that actually figures up the value of your house. The sheriff's office has nothing to do with it.
Nor does the fiscal court.
Nor does the fiscal court. However, I did ask them how often that is done, and they said that by KRS, they're required to do it once every 4 years. So that's about how often your house should be assessed. This year, I'll go over a few things with you. I'm going to use my notes. Our tax base, and this is how much Simpson County has grown. I've been your sheriff for 11 years. When I came into office, our tax base was about 8 million, 8.3 million, I think was my first year as sheriff collecting. This year we're collecting $19,755,000 approximately. There's some change in there. So that's how much it's grown.
And that's all taxes. That's not just fiscal court general tax. That's all
Correct,
taxes.
and I'm going to go into that,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay.
But $19,755,000 is the tax base. That grew in 1 year. Last year it was 18.1 million approximately. So $1.6 million in a year. Now, a lot of that's because people's houses are getting reassessed and they're going up. It's new construction, things like that. If you disagree with the value of your house, do not come to the sheriff's office and discuss it with us. And I sympathize with anybody that that's happened to. We pay property taxes too. Our houses go up too, so we see that. But the PVA is where to discuss that at. They're the only ones that control that when that happens. Also, just interesting information for you. There's 10,830 bills that we will be attempting to collect. That's how many property tax bills we have. As far as taxing districts, when you look at your card, you will see exactly where your money goes. It's all listed. There are 6 taxing districts. That's the people that get your money in Simpson County, or your property tax money. There's the state, the county, the school, the library, the ambulance, and the extension service. As we said a minute ago, there are 2 ways that really determine what your amount you're paying is. That's the value of your house determined by the PVA, and then 2, the rate that each of these districts charges you. This year, the rates are good. I don't set rates, but 4 of the districts decreased their rates from last year, so they actually went down. And those were the state. They went from 10.9 cents, they were 11.4 last year. The school was at 56.8 last year, or was at 60.4 last year, and they went to 56.8 this year. The library decreased from 5.8 to 5.4 cents per hundred, and the extension service went from 1.9 cents to 1.8. The other 2 taxing districts are the county and the ambulance service, and they did not raise their rates, they just kept them the same. So there's been no change. The county's was 10 cents, and the ambulance is 3.6 cents.
And a side note to the county rate, Sheriff, is that we are statutorily obligated to commit 2.25 cents of that 10 cents directly to the health department.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't show that on the tax bill.
Correct.
But we are obligated to commit that to the health department.
Yes, sir. You can also, and this just helps our office by getting this information out there, that's why I'm taking a few moments this morning. We have a website, and on that website, you can go look up your own tax bill if you want to. There's one coming for you in the mail. Give it about a week, because you know our mail in Simpson County goes to Nashville, then it recirculates down here. It takes several days once something's mailed to get it. But within a week, if you haven't gotten it, I'd say next week, feel free to come by the office. We'll be glad to print you one, tell you what it is, whatever else. But you can go on the website too. Our website, if you have a pen ready, is www.simpsoncountysheriffky.org. That was www.simpsoncountysheriffky.org. And you can pay online if you choose to. I want everybody to be careful. I'm going to explain credit cards a little bit to you. You can pay by credit card online. Sometimes people come in the office and they want to pay with a credit card, and you can't. I am not allowed by law to pass that cost on to the other tax people. That means the charge that the credit card gives comes to you. If you want to use your credit card, you can, but it's going to be about 3%. Personally, that's not very prudent. If you have a $2,000, and if it used to be $2,000, it might be $4,000 now, because houses have doubled in value. But $30 on the $100,000, so you're paying $60 on a $200,000 house to use your credit card. October, you get 2% off. Best time to pay as far as trying to save money on what you do. There is one alternative if you want to pay online other than using a credit card, which is a good thing to do. And I know this from back when my kids were in college and I would help pay tuition. If you use an e-check instead of a credit card, it means you just do an online check. There is a $1.50 charge, but it's not a 3% charge. So be careful with that. I asked Jada, because sometimes people get confused. If you go onto that site, once you locate your tax bill, you add it to the cart, click the cart to begin a checkout, click Pay by IntelliPay, and then you can change the payment method to e-check, and the e-check is what will only charge you $1.50. So I think that's got it. Is there any questions about taxes? I know everybody is tore up about what color pen's going to be this year. Sheriff has got pens, and remember that pen and your tax, what you pay on taxes, that's about how much that pen's going to be worth, so be excited about it.
The only thing you left out, there's a city property tax too. All right.
Yes, and we have absolutely nothing to do with that, but you should be getting 2 tax cards, and you do every year if you live in the city limits. You have a city tax, which we do not collect. You pay that down there where you pay your water bill and stuff for the city, but that's the city tax bill. Any other questions?
Thank you, Sheriff. Jailer, I see you standing. That must mean you have something you need to share.
I just wanted to, I do this every time, that we make I guess a deposit. Just wanted you to know with the commissary, I've got a check for $43,748.58. It'll be going into the general fund. So this is the monies that we obligated with y'all, what we committed to do. And I think we've already kicked over 35,000. Here's another 43. I just want to let you know we're on track and we're doing what we got to do to help things out.
Those Kubotas that we're surplusing from.
I knew them Kubotas were going to come up before I left.
They were bought out of commissary, right?
Yep.
So will that money go back in the commissary?
Yep.
Okay. I was just wondering.
And the salt things too.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'll tell you about those Kubotas. Y'all need to pay attention. They're practically brand new. We just don't, we had good intentions when we bought one under you. We bought one under you. We used them several times, but they're practically new machines. Somebody is going to get a deal. So if you farmers, if you're listening, don't miss out. They're good machines. I'll attest to that. And they got a lot of options on. We bought them under the state contract bid, so the county got a deal. But anyway, whoever's listening, if you're interested, you need to check them out.
All right.
But I just want to let you know I got your check.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I see the county clerk had to go. He must have had an emergency. Department heads, I'm going to start with maintenance supervisor. Paul, I'm going to get you to come up here. We just hired Paul Kelly as our facilities maintenance supervisor. He's hit the ground running. His very first task was a clogged up sewer drain at the drug task force and the drug court building that was quite an ordeal. But he jumped in there and handled it like a champ. And when people have problems, I told Paul, I said, listen, when people have problems, they're going to call you. The only problem I'm going to have is if they're calling me. And so he's been doing a great job. Tomorrow will be, or today's actually.
I'm almost 2 weeks.
Tomorrow, 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, you started. So we're glad to have you. I don't know if you have a report, but I just wanted to bring you up so people do you remember I said millions of people are watching?
Oh, yeah.
So now they're all seeing you up here on camera and they're going to hear you. But no, we're glad to have you, and if you've got anything you want to share, we'd be glad to hear it.
I'd just like to say thank you to you all for the opportunity. Not a lot to say, nothing really to report yet. I've been around and met a few people, not everybody yet, but I'm working my way around there when I get time. So if you need anything, give me a call.
Any of y'all have a question for Paul? Good. Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you.
All right, thank you.
All right. John, anything with planning and zoning issues? Bob, anything else for emergency management?
I just failed to say thank you for you guys. It's going to be helpful, very helpful.
Yeah. Nelson, anything with fire department? Bobby, anything with public works? Gentlemen, the only thing I need to do is have an executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, G, discussions between a public agency and a representative of a business entity, and discussions concerning a specific proposal if the open discussions would jeopardize deciding, retention, expansion, or upgrading of the business.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty, second by Jeffrey. All in favor, aye. Aye. All right, we'll take like a 5-minute recess, and then we'll convene across the hallway over there.